Welcome to Disturbing the Priest. Today, I am doing a very exciting episode. I am joined by Jason McMaster to talk about my favorite Judas Priest record, Defenders of the Faith. What we're going to do, we're going to talk about the album and rank the songs from least favorite to favorite. Defenders of the Faith, 1984, their ninth studio record, Columbia Records, January 4th. This is an awesome album. We got, of course, David Holland on the kit, Ian Hill, KK Downing, Rob Halford, Glenn Tipton, all-star lineup here. I love this album. Jason, thank you for joining me. What's going on, man?
Yeah, thanks for having me and doing this record because I saw them on this tour. And, I mean, I'm a little older than you. I'm a little older than most people. The band that opened was the band Heaven. I don't know if you know Heaven. You remember Heaven?
I'm not too familiar, no.
I want to say they were an Australian band that at the time had Mick Cox in the band, who also played with Rose Tattoo. And I think he had some other projects as well, but they were great. Kind of I'm not going to say people write that kind of, AC/DC worshiping kind of a tone, that bands might have. They just write them off as a clone, and I disagree with that totally because just because it's four on the floor played with two or three chords does not make it sound like AC/DC. And if people write them off to that, I mean, it sounds like I'm on my apple crate yelling into the streets, but I just don't think they're listening hard enough when they just say it's AC/DC worship and that's all it is. I mean, if they were a crap band, they wouldn't have been supporting Priest on that tour. So
yeah,
I saw that tour here in Austin, Texas, and it was amazing and mind-blowing, and they had, the creature on the cover. They had, this big arm. Yeah, they had that arm coming up, and Halford would ride on that big paw. He'd stand on that paw and sing, and it'd rise up in the air. Just epic, and even priests don't even do that anymore.
You're making me jealous, man.
I think that's the idea.
Yeah.
and I think it could be safety. It could be, could be a waste of money. What do we do with this giant robot thing when the tour's over? We already have enough crap in storage, la, la, la. But just in a time of, excess, stage shows and stuff like that were huge. And a lot of the pop stars, I feel like, have adapted all that, circus, type of props, and they fly across the, from Beyonce and Lady Gaga to just whoever, they fly across the arena. It's like, well, I saw Paul Stanley and Gene Simmons do that shit first,
Yeah.
Anyway, the CD they did well with this. This is an old issue of the CD. This thing here, right? It's the sleeve in the vinyl. And so I like how they didn't chintz. Yeah, they really did well by having the mini version of the same thing inside the art, just of the CD as well. I'm glad that we have different media.
Yeah, look at that. Wow.
They did a great job. They did a really good job in the digital version. I've had this forever. And this is probably not a remaster. This is probably,
it's the real deal.
Not beefed up. You know what I mean? The remasters are a little louder and wider sounding, which is okay. This artwork, I just read that guy's name. It's right here.
Doug Johnson?
Yeah, Doug Johnson was the designer on it. And, it's obvious that they hung with this guy for a minute because he did Screaming for Vengeance as well. And just to start with the cover.
And Turbo as well.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. He did Turbo. Well, I'm glad we're not talking about Turbo because I wouldn't have too much good to say about it. And I think it was one of those records where they were learning some things about each other. I know that on Turbo, Rob did not have his trusty thesaurus, so I feel like he confessed a little bit in his book and/or books that during that time he was going to rehab and getting sober, and he did not have his trusty thesaurus. Like every record up until Turbo, he had a thesaurus that he carried around like it was his security, and he used it on every lyric he ever wrote, pretty much is how the story went. And anyway, Turbo's not a strong record for me. I mean, I'll listen to Rob Halford sing the phone book.
Right.
I mean, I'll listen to him just tell bedtime stories. I love Rob Halford. He can do anything, and I will follow. So this artwork, I don't like it as much.
Really?
As the Screaming. The eagle on Screaming for Vengeance, I don't like it as much. But, people don't even really stare at it long enough to realize it's a fucking tank.
Yeah.
It's a tank. See, it's got little machine guns right here. I don't know if you see these little guys here. Those are machine gun.
Got the treads as
right
well.
At the top of the red treads, there's the little machine guns. And there's little flame-throwing bombs above the horns on his cranium, on his crown.
I love it. I think it looks awesome.
I get it. And he also has a double jaw like Alien. He's got a mouth inside of his mouth. A lot of people don't see that kind of shit. So there are all these great things about it, but overall he just seems like this kind of like, it's a little bit cartoony for me when you think Judas Priest. And most of their covers are classic. British Steel is just, I mean, as simple as that is, that cover is loud. It's a human hand holding a giant razor blade. Oh my God. It's just so perfect. And, I could talk about just the album covers for an hour. I have many faves, but this is not in my top. This is not even probably in my top 5 Judas Priest cover art.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, you should talk.
Yeah. Well, no, it's all right. Yeah. I'll go for, 30 minutes and come back. But this is why I had you on, because I know how passionate you are about this, and really great insight from you there. Yeah. Like literally everything you're saying, I pretty much agree with, maybe not the art. This is the defender of the faith, apparently. And I just think it's like the colors pop. It's really unique. I love the art style to it. It's one of those things where, like, when I was a kid, I saw this and I was like, what is that album? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do. It's very, to me, and I could be way off, but when I see this, it looks like if I were in Japan at a toy store and I would see like little Transformer toys with this exact color scheme, red, yellow, blue kind of vibe.
Exactly.
And you would be able to take the head off and move it back and turn it into a truck or a bicycle or what, like the total Transformer vibe. That's what it looks like.
I want to play with it. Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like something you could get in a Japanese toy store. And I do kind of like that vibe about the art, that it looks like it's a monster, it's a tank, it's a war machine, it's here to fight for justice, it's a vigilante, I get everything about it, but it's still kind of it looks like a toy still to me. That's my first thought. But the guy's obviously really creative and really great, and I think it was easy for them to stick with that guy for a few records. And I could talk about their artwork forever and ever. But,
yeah, me too, man. Yeah. Screaming is definitely, you do have a good point. That's probably the better objectively art because the circle, it's framed really nicely too. The yellow pops, it's really good. But there's something about this that's so intriguing to me, and just the mix of colors I think is really cool. Do you find it to be a good representation of the music though?
That's a great question. One more thing before we start with the songs.
Sure.
Do you know the movie Fifth Element?
I know of it. I haven't seen it.
There are these sort of alien, sort of robot guys that are like, they look like they're 30 feet tall, and they're shaped like these round, they're shaped like mushroom kind of looking guys, but their arms are real long, and they kind of waddle when they walk, like an elephant or something. This is what that reminds me of, and Fifth Element is a great science fiction movie, and it's got a lot of comedy aspects to it and everything, but it's super futuristic action fashion. There's the costume. Chris Tucker is wearing this crazy. Imagine Chris Tucker wearing a boa, but the boa is like exploding, and it's like this big feathery, and he's very fabulous. His character is
right.
very like, you know what I mean? Like, shot, he's sashaying everywhere he goes, and well, it's Chris Tucker, who's fucking loud.
Yeah, that's the one with Bruce Willis, right?
Yeah, it is.
Yes, yeah, I've seen bits of that.
Mia
right.
Jovovich, yeah, and the fashion in it, the colors and everything that the fashion designer that designed everything within the movie for the writers and directors and everything, they just broke the mold. I mean, Bruce Willis is dressed just, like an action hero. He's got this cool, like, futuristic vest on. He's got weapons, and he's snarly, and it's Die Hard, but he's a cop. He's but it's in the future. Anyway, reminds me of that, and that bugs me a little bit that my heavy metal is going into this, like, I don't want to say frilly, but this different kind of a, like, fabulous kind of fashion designer world of the future. This is futuristic, but it takes me there, and I don't know how comfortable I am with it, because I just want it to be hell-bent for leather, and it's not. This is not hell-bent for leather.
Yeah, it's not really dirty or gritty. It's a statement for sure. And just the Fifth Element thing, just to wrap that up, that movie is actually very much inspired by a skit from the movie Heavy Metal, which was a magazine. I'm not sure if you saw that movie, but there's literally a part where it's like, it's kind of the same thing, where it's the taxi driver, and there's a connection there. So even that has a metal connection. But anyway, I do, when it comes to the atmosphere of the record, it's kind of like this almost like futuristic, post-apocalyptic, I kind of get that vibe from the sound. Is that something you get as well?
Yeah, the songs on it are, I feel like it can be an extension of where they were as far as technology, because they were using some synthesizer stuff, and they were using guitar synthesizers, and you can hear it all over on this record, that I feel like they might have even started to slightly dabble with in a couple of moments on Screaming for Vengeance, but they just didn't let it take over. And on this record, I think it's starting to take over a little bit. On Turbo, they had let the synthesizer cat out of the bag.
There's a bit of foreshadowing on this album, to right. Turbo. But people had no idea the amount of that they would get with the follow-up,
Well, there was no way to tell, and I don't know if they were, being careful about how turbo sounding they wanted to get as early as Screaming, and then definitely on this record, Defenders, and then finally, fuck it, let's just go where there's barely any, analog bass being played, because rumor has it, don't cross the line in the sand. I'm trying to make friends here, but I hear that some songs on Turbo, not this record, you guys can write me hate mail, I don't care. I feel like there are at least one or two songs, I sheepishly say this because I don't know, I'm not exactly an archivist, that Ian Hill didn't even play bass on. It's synthetic bass on Turbo.
That I'll have to look into that.
Maybe even on Defenders. Like I said, I don't know. It's a question more than I'm saying that it's a fact and I'm writing that my name in blood at the bottom.
A suggestion, it might be fact. I'm not too sure with that. I'll have to look into that after, but that would, I have opinions about that if that's true. But anyway, so how do you feel about the production of this record? I feel like the drums are a little far back in the mix. I do like it. It's really tight. It has this clean, powerful sound to it. I'm not sure if the drums, that far in the mix bother me, but it's something I haven't really I don't focus on it. It doesn't really affect my listening experience. What do you think about the production?
I think that the production for the time is probably somewhat award-winning. I feel like Tom Allom, who also did, many records with Priest, is trying to grow with the band and try new things, and probably, very well could be, I feel like in my, in a dream, whether it be fact or not, I feel like Glenn Tipton and Tom Allom sort of were like, hey man, I got this new synth guitar I want to try. Oh, cool. Let's use it to play the bass part and just see what happens. Ian's not here. Let's see what happens. We'll play it for him when he shows up next week or whatever. And I feel like they were instigators on things like that. Again, this speculation for my crazy brain. It's not fact. It's just I feel like there was some of that going on. The drums being saturated in reverb or some effects and things like that.
Very 80s.
Make them feel like they're mixed way in the back.
Yeah.
I feel like, and I could be wrong, but in my experience, if something is just like has a bunch of, decay on it, if you take that decay off, all of a sudden it comes back up and it's sitting on your face. Like
right.
A kick drum and a snare but if your snare is going, that's where's the attack, right? So to me, Judas Priest is when you can hear dooga dagga dooga dagga dooga, when you can hear the attack of the drum because it's fitting the riff that the guitars are playing, and that's all attack to me too. And that's the older Priest that I'm used to. Now, that Scream for Vengeance, you can hear it on Scream, you can hear it, But I feel like on this record, like you're saying, I feel like some things are getting washed out a little bit, and it probably could be the drums are swimming and, they're too wet with effects.
Sure. Yeah. Well, for like you're saying, for 84, it's really good. Yeah, like we are kind of nitpicking here because I just find the rest of it to be very tight and powerful, but of course, the drums are incredible here, so if I just feel like I have to say that, but so instrumentally,
you just want them to be louder.
Yes. Yeah. Is that too much to ask?
No. But think like this: louder with all of that decay or reverb or effects, or some people just say, "Oh, they're all echoey," or they don't even notice, or they don't care. We are nerding out on the idea, and at the current topic right now is where the drums are in the mix. I mean, Dave Holland when he was great, he was the best. And a lot of people don't really like his drumming because a lot of his fills were just snare rolls, and they weren't so tom, they weren't so technically tommed out, like pretty much every other drummer Priest has ever had has had all this, and it's beautiful when a drummer plays like that. I'm fine with Dave Holland really having more like of a solid point being made in the drum performance. on all of the records that he was on, from British Steel all the way to through Turbo, or yeah, because Ram It Down '87 was the first record with Scott Travis.
Yes. Yeah.
Pretty sure. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, from Ram It Down from '88. Yeah, that was Scott's.
All Scott.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Still
So
to this day. So that's a long time, man.
of course, and like you're saying, we're definitely nerding out about this, and of course, every time you do that, you're nitpicking, and it's like anything. You know what I mean?
We're having fun talking about and we're still in the same rabbit hole. It's not, it's a this is a project piece. It's not. We're here to talk about the drum tone today on Defenders of the Faith. No, we're not. We're talking about the whole enchilada.
The whole thing. And instrumentally, I do want to say that I think this is a complete step up from Screaming in terms of technicality, for tightness, musicianship. Halford, I think, sounds better on this. What do you feel about stuff like that?
Yeah, I'm struggling with that one because this was not. I mean, I favored Screaming over those, between those two records, and because if I go too far in, you won't get me off of the phone.
Okay,
you know what I mean? If I start talking about other records, I won't.
Yeah.
Because much like a few other bands in my upbringing, as far as a fan goes, just changed the way that I think about hard rock and heavy metal. And Screaming was like really a peaking point. Like I was so into British Steel, and it was hard to get me off of. I look at Unleashed in the East as a greatest hits album, and all of the songs on Unleashed in the East are from their first like 3 or 4 records, right? So from Sin After Sin all the way back, and then they don't touch Rock-a-Rolla because they were still learning about each other. The lineup had changed, etc. So they really found themselves on Hellbent for Leather. So and then right after that, Unleashed in the East comes out. It's a greatest hits. Now the songs that are on, Sin After Sin and Hellbent and that may or may have not made the final cut of Unleashed in the East live record. The Sin After Sin songs, the Sad Wings of Destiny songs, et cetera, et cetera. Wow, they're just playing them so different and faster and meaner with a drummer who's just this serious, like Stained Class, I think might have been the first record with Les Binks on drums, and he brought that to them, but he wasn't the first guy to play double kick on a Priest record. It was Simon Phillips, who I believe was 15 years old on Sin After Sin.
Insane.
Yeah, they go, yeah, we don't have a drummer, and I think Roger Glover from Deep Purple is the producer on that, and he goes, I know this drummer, this kid, he does sessions with me at the studio all the time, he's 15, he's got a double kit, and they're like, well, let's check him out, and they come in, and Simon Phillips, who, it's unbelievable, and he's just playing his ass off, but it was Les Binks that, on Exciter, that sort of like decided that that's really a sound of the band.
Yeah.
And so when you think about those sort of thrash moments, let's get right back to this record. And I'm sorry I went on a tangent.
No worry, I like it. It's a good tangent.
To set up Free Will Burning and maybe even the Sentinel, because those are like if you're gonna thrash and if you want to think thrash and
Eat Me Alive also.
Yeah. But definitely Free Will Burning and the Sentinel. Those songs, the drums are up in tempo, and again, Dave Holland is not Les Binks. So Les Binks comes in, does these records with Hellbent for Leather and Stained Class and the live album, and then he's just gone. And it's like, wait, what? And then Dave Holland comes in on British Steel, and here we are on Defenders. But what you'll notice about those records, and I don't want to leave out Point of Entry, right?
Yes.
I don't want to leave out that record either, because that's Dave Holland as well. And I love that record. It's so weird.
Me too. Very
It's,
underrated.
it's like
Yes.
a hard rock record that they were just dying to make. And I think that there's some really fantastic true Judas Priest moments on there where there was some freedom in the songwriting, and they weren't putting on any airs or trying to, well, we need to write one like that, or the band sounds really good at this tempo, so let's write a bunch of songs in that tempo. There was none of that going on. I feel like they went into the studio and just jammed and came up with these tunes, and I think that it's organic.
Desert
Right?
Plains is incredible. Yeah,
Oh my
that
God,
that
and they
record is just
and
unbelievable.
Solar Angels and Desert Plains alone are, I mean, don't get me started on Hot Rockin' and Heading Out to the Highway.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Those are hit songs. Those
They
are
are.
radio friendly heavy metal songs, which
You're
they were able to pull off on British Steel already with Breaking the Law and of course Living After Midnight.
True. Yeah,
But
you're
all the
convincing.
songs, yeah.
Yeah, I just want to say real quick, you're convincing me we need to do like a history of Judas Priest thing, because we could talk about this all day.
Well,
I find
to me, whether the hits, when I say it's a hit and you're
Yeah.
talking about Judas Priest, I could throw in the word marginal because it's not, Prince or or the Doobie Brothers or these giant songs that come on classic rock radio, right? But come on, Breaking the Law and Living After Midnight and Heading Out to the Highway and Hot Rockin' and on Screaming, there's You Got Another Thing Coming and more, and it just there's like half their set list right now.
Literally, yeah.
Like they still play, Solar Angels, Desert Plains, Breaking the Law, Living After Midnight, and sometimes Heading Out to the Highway, and wow.
Their 80s run is incredible. It really is.
Yeah. And they were really accepted in America finally by the end of the 70s, and on a major reporting AOR radio format, and they had arrived. And then I think with MTV and where they were with Turbo and Rob sobriety coming into play as to his happiness and things like that, which he's totally wears on his sleeve now, and I have his books and they're incredible, and he's talking about this internal things that he had to learn about himself, and it's okay to be this way, and it's okay to talk about me, struggling with alcoholism. And he says that he never played a sober gig until 1986.
Wow.
Ever. So when you hold that truth and that confession in your hand, and you think about the thousands of gigs that he had done until 1986, when he's going off stage, he's slamming a drink of gin or something. He's got some kind of like alcohol going in his brain the whole time. Anyway, I think it was liquid courage, right? Let's talk about these songs.
Yeah, let's get into it.
What do you think Jawbreaker is about?
I'll have to really ponder that one. I think we should just get into the ranking, right? Let's rank the songs.
Yeah. Okay.
We can just talk about each one individually. So we're going to rank them here from least favorite to favorite. Okay. Now, I combined, Heavy Duty with Defenders of the Faith. I'm not sure if you did, but I feel like maybe we should just count that as one track. I know live they always combine them. Okay.
I'm fine with that.
All right. So if you want to kick us off here with your least favorite.
Well, I think that my least favorites are going to be Night Comes Down, just because it didn't really. I'm backpedaling a little bit. It's hard because I still love the song because I'm a nerd of a fan, right? But it doesn't shine to me. Heavy Duty and Defenders of the Faith are uh, they're riding off into the sunset. They're saying, "We'll be back. Remember us. We, keep the faith, right? And let me remind you to stay heavy with heavy duty." And yeah, I mean, I'm just kind of staying topical on what the lyrics could be saying and things like that. But I think it's a great way to end a record. Putting your best moment at the end of a record may or may not be the way to go, because you want it to slam right out of the gate. And I mean, that's why they're opening everything with Free Will Burning, and that's why it was a video, and it was the video age, but we'll get to that. So yeah, I'm agreeing. I'm agreeing with it that the last three songs, Night Comes Down, Heavy Duty, and Defenders of the Faith, are sort of they have a chilled out mode they're in towards the end of the record. Whether they meant to do that or not, I'm going to guess yes, that they probably were winding down the record in that way.
Yeah. Now, I find that interesting, and I'll just get right into my bottom pick. It is Heavy Duty, Defenders of the Faith. That does not mean it's a bad track by any means. It's such an awesome way to close the record. Title track, last song, how cool is that? Yeah. And it has such a stadium feel to it. You know what I mean? It's almost like the band's answer to We Will Rock You a little bit, if you squint your ears, but it does have that kind of like, the audience participates in the song element to it. I love the heavy riff that trades with Halford's voice lines.
Yeah.
Here as well. I'm not
done this before.
Yeah. Oh, yes, very much so. I'm not sure how I feel about the audience cheering in the song in the studio version.
Yeah.
But it's like kind of like them being like, you make us,
Yeah.
I see what they're going for. It's just such a fucking epic song. It's so uniting, like as a fan of metal.
I see what you did that.
Yes. Thank you. United,
yeah. Well, United, I'll just go there. United,
sure.
And from British Steel, and then Take on the World off of Hellbent for Leather. Those are both in the realm of the way that they end this record on with Defenders and Heavy Duty. I feel like it's similar to the We Will Rock You. So you nailed that.
Yeah, and just the whole idea also of the chant of We Are Defenders of the Faith, like fading out the record, is so epic. Like that's how you end a record. Like that's how you do it. I love this track. It's it feels weird saying it's my least favorite, but there's just not enough to it. It's not like I go, what song do I want to listen from Defenders today? Oh, Heavy Duty, Defenders of the Faith, but it serves its purpose. It's a great, it makes this album feel more of an experience than like a bunch of singles shoved together, stitched together. I love the flow of this record. We'll get into all that, but anyway, that's my bottom pick.
That's a great sort of turn in the conversation is that they're trying to make a statement here and have some kind of journey on the record, which is missing in music today, because people just put out singles. So when you're listening to, especially on vinyl, you're committed. You got to get up and turn the record over. You have to get up and take it out of the sleeve initially and gently place it on the player, and you adjust it, and you get into like a certain battle mode, and that's just missing in music today. Battle
mode's a great description for that.
Yeah, well, when you're taking on, listening to us, like sure, I put on records to just go do housework. I put on records to, start my day or whatever. And it works the same way, but to me, it's not background music. It's kind of like opening up all the photo albums and being able to walk around the room and go, hey, man, cool. Yeah, I remember that. And that music is like that. It's like photo albums, right?
Yeah.
Especially unless it's something brand new I took a chance on, which is rare these days for me. I like comfort food, so Yeah, if I may move on, you
Yeah,
said
yeah. So
something
your
that's
your
y-
second least favorite, I guess.
yeah, you said something interesting where it's just not, an attempt at a bunch of hits, just crammed together on a record. I feel like sorry, I'm taking this jacket off.
No worries. This would be your eighth pick, I believe, because we're
Okay.
combining 9 and 10.
Yeah. Well, I've already said Night Comes Down is sort of not really, it's not really doing anything special to me or for me, and
Interesting.
I kind of lumped it in as the beginning of the end of the record. But I do love the lyrics, and I'm a sucker for Halford's sort of melancholy love song, like I love Before the Dawn and songs like that. He does it so well. I love his ballads on Sad Wings of Destiny. I just think that he's made for. I want him to make a whole like double album of all of these sappy, like Woe Is Me, these super dark gothic ballad type of a
He's
vibe,
got the
because
voice for it.
he's perfect for that. He's
Yeah.
very gothic, and I think people. I don't want to accuse anyone, but forget that he has this perfect tone that is operatically gothic to vampire music or chamber music or something that takes you into a darker green and purple and gray to black. And I think that it's beautiful with clouds and strange, weeping willows, and you know what I mean. I think that his voice is perfect for that type of a scenario when you're listening to music, and you see color when you listen to music. Um,
Yeah.
the so with that, I already said Night Comes Down, so I'm just gonna skip ahead if you don't mind.
Yeah. Your
I
next
think
pick.
I think Rock Hard Ride Free is not necessarily a go-to for me, and it's very catchy, and it's has a lot of singability because I guess that's the same thing as catchy, but it's not my yeah, it's easy for me to dismiss, and I don't really have anything else to say because it's just kind of like, like it's not, I don't want to say boring, but it's not hitting me after you've already been pummeled by the rest of the record.
Sure. Okay. I'm
Yeah.
very excited to get into this because our lists are going to be very different,
Okay,
and
that's
we're
great.
we're going to be coming from two different perspectives, which is
Yeah,
fantastic.
yeah,
Now for me, my next pick. Speaking of vampire music, Love Bites. Where's Hellstar when you need them? Uh, right?
right, right.
There's this really great dark atmosphere to Love Bites that I do like, which is made clear by Halford's like very sinister vocal delivery here, which is cool. Who doesn't love a song about vampires? Am I
Right.
right? It
Yeah.
is kind of random on this album, because I feel like there is kind of a theme here. And then it's like, wait, we're talking about vampires now, just out
Yeah.
of nowhere. I don't think Priest has ever done that,
Yeah.
ever. It
You
does
might be right.
serve a nice variety on the record, though.
Yeah.
It does. Um, yeah, more of a mid-tempo track, which is fine. Has a unique feel to it compared to other songs, but for me, I just don't return to it as much. So that's going to be
I
my second
I
pick.
I think Rock Hard Ride Free is very similar in tempo to Love Bites. Love
Sure.
Bites might be a couple of BPMs slower, but not enough to. I think the tone of both songs is quite different because of the subjects and the attack of the song, but it's interesting that tempo is a comfortable tempo. You know what I mean? It's basically living after midnight tempo. So I'm
Yeah.
seeing what they're doing here on this, rock hard, ride free in the dead of night, living after midnight. I know what they're doing here. That's my um nerdy maybe songwriter vibe coming out. It's like I feel like there's this, start the car and drive fast vibe
Yeah, there's
it's
there's
just
a lot of that on Screaming for Vengeance too. Bloodstone, there's so many examples of that, and that's kind of that
yeah.
also coming over to this record.
Yeah, they're swinging a little bit more in Bloodstone.
Yeah,
I've
that's
been
true. That's true.
trying non-stop. There's a little bit of a swing to that, and I love it when they do that because it feels different. So it's pulling on the BPM, on the tempo, on songs like that. But wow, what a song!
Oh, for
Different
sure. Yeah.
different record. But yeah,
Part two. Yeah.
yeah. So I think that they do that really well. Uh, and I think that you talk about love bites. My next not so uh that's it. I really love, as far as like creepers or downers, or if we have to call anything, what dare I say, a bad moment on the record, or that just doesn't get me excited. I think I've covered all of them. Rock Hard Ride Free is not my favorite. Night Comes Down is starting to slow down the record for me. I like Heavy Duty because it's just this right, and that reminds me of so many Priest songs. Right?
Me too. Me too.
There's
yeah.
a bunch. They do that a lot, and yeah, Heavy Duty reminds me of some other moments on other records that for some reason I might like more than Heavy Duty, even though it's the same groove, it's the same idea. They're just revisiting that Priest thing, right? And yeah, I mean, we're starting to get into like the other half of the record, which I could probably listen to on repeat, and it's just will set the tone on whether the songs are more popular. But I'll let you move into that on your own since I'm kind of talking too much.
Yeah. So your pick was Heavy Duty there.
Yeah, Heavy Duty. Well, no, because I agreed with you on my least favorite was Heavy Duty Defenders of the Faith earlier, but I threw in Night Comes Down.
Got it.
What I'm getting at is I just said Rock Hard Ride Free is not really doing anything for me.
All right. So my next one, my third pick here from least favorite to favorite, is going to be Some Heads Are Gonna Roll. I know this is kind of a classic off this record. This is one of the songs a lot of people turn to when they talk about their favorite tracks. For me, I just find it to be one of the more simplistic tracks. This is a great song. Don't get me wrong. This is where we're talking about the best of the record now. You know what I mean? Because I feel like maybe the last two are like, I can, take it or leave it. But I love this song. When I hear this, I'm there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Very catchy, mid-tempo song. Pretty consistent momentum here as well. Very controlled vocals by Halford as well. Pretty tame, but it works really well for the song. I feel like it does serve the song well.
I don't think they wrote it.
Yeah.
I don't think they wrote it. I look at these liners and they've got all the splits here. And Heads Are Gonna Roll, written by Bob Halligan Jr. Copyright 1983 Screen Gems EMI Music. Used by permission. Yeah, they didn't write it. So it doesn't matter who wrote the song. I just thought it interesting that here we are already to Head's Gonna Roll, it being, yeah, I agree with everything you're saying. I think that it's a great Judas Priest moment that, I mean, they do covers of folk songs, Green and Diamonds and Rust, and they've all, and the only cover, I think, or, a song that they didn't write that they've, whether we realize it's a cover until much later or not, the only thing that I didn't like was later, and it was Johnny Be Good, and they did that for a movie. I think they were asked to do it for a movie, and they just ended up throwing it on the record. So that's all right. They didn't sway me at all. I mean, it doesn't change. Isn't it interesting? You're such a fan, and then they do something that you don't agree with, and it should be easy for you to ignore. I mean, I bet they never played it live, and if they did, it was short lived.
Yeah, you know why I like the covers by this band? Because a lot of times people don't understand their covers. You know what I mean?
Right.
Green Manalishi. I thought that was a Judas Priest song for the longest time.
Well, they made it. They made it a Judas Priest song, didn't they?
They really did, and I feel like they have that ability. You know, they're one of those kind of like the secret king of covers bands where, Johnny B. Good. It's just like you can't really make that. You can't morph that too much, I find.
Yeah.
You know, where that's where the band is at their best, when they're able to rearrange, like pretty much morph a song to their own sound. And this is a great example of Green Metal Leash, Diamonds and Rust, as you said. A great examples.
Better by you, better than me. That's a cover.
That's a great one. Yeah, that's a great one too.
Spooky Tooth song they were getting sued over, and it's a song they didn't even write. I don't think they spent time doing any backwards masking on that. I don't think they spent any time other than trying to priestify a Spooky Tooth song. You know what I mean? I think that was the extent of the work they did on the song. But yeah, they got taken to court for that song that they didn't write. Anyway, not to lose any momentum, I just think that the rest of this record I can listen to on repeat, and not to cheat here, but I guess Eat Me Alive would be. I mean, I like how up tempo it is, and I like how it reminds me of Nightcrawler from Painkiller.
Yeah, that is true. That's true.
Eat Me Alive, Nightcrawler. It's the same tempo. It's a groove. It might even be the same key. I feel like there's, I like Nightcrawler better than this.
Me too. That's a great point. I've never connected that. You're totally right there.
Yeah. Not even, like I said, what scares me the most about what I'm saying is it could be the same key. Like
that's the first thing I'm doing after this episode.
Putting a medley together, a mashup of Eat Me Alive and Nightcrawler. Yeah.
Right.
But I think that I like how scary that is, and it's interesting that that's right after Love Bites. Love Bites, Eat Me Alive. Thematically, I think that's whether they meant to do that or not. It's kind of like, I guess it was meant to be, right? But yeah, I think that Eat Me Alive would probably be the next song if I had to pick something that may or may not be a go-to. I like the song a lot. We're starting to get into the songs that I can listen to all the time, if I hadn't said that already.
Me too, man.
Yeah.
I am right there with you. Like, these are songs that I love, and this is where we're going to differ a little bit. So Night Comes Down for me. That's my next pick. I really like this song. I find it to be one of the most underrated songs on the record. I love, it's cool, dark, it's moody. I love the atmosphere of this song and the emotion in his voice, like that chorus. When the night, like, it's so good. I love his delivery. And we were talking about that a little bit, how he can totally do a record of songs like that. Like, this is a song where I think, wow, this is like kind of Halford at his peak potentially. Like, the power, it's such an amazing balance of not just emotion, but power and attack. Like you were saying, it's so good, but it's calculated so well. It doesn't feel like he's just screaming to show off and doing these shrieks. It's so perfect. Just a great catchy chorus as well. So that's going to be my next pick. And I think that might be where we differ a little bit with that song. Yeah.
So I like, maybe I like A Touch of Evil from Painkiller a little bit better, because it's kind of a modernized version of the same song, Night Comes Down.
Yeah.
Then I know when the night comes to me, let her know a touch of evil when the night comes down. Then I make alone. They're very similar tempo, feel, everything. Once again, it's priestified. These are songs that are very similar to one another, and they're damn. I mean, this is 84, and we're talking 90, 91. It's like they're really related tempo and vibe and pitch of Halford's voice, key that they're writing in and things like that. And there are these sort of like similar worlds that are, God, 7 or 8, 10 years apart when you kind of think about Priest, like they're revisiting something that they do really well, in 1991 that they did in 84. And, yeah, I think that back to Night Comes Down and just your comment, I think that it's interesting that when I sing Night Comes Down, I end up throwing in the lyrics to A Touch of Evil.
I think maybe that's why, I'm learning a bit about myself here from your comments, because Painkiller and my two favorite Priest albums.
There you go.
My two favorite albums. And I am now realizing there's so many connections between these two records. I had no idea.
It's important. I mean, that's why, when you love a band, it's totally okay for you to feel like you know them, but you don't, of course we don't know them, they're not my friends. I don't know them, but don't you feel like they're your band and you know them and they're coming for Thanksgiving dinner and that you know them?
It's like family for me.
Yeah, this is what I mean by the term, you feel like you know them is when I hear this song, I think of that song. When I hear that song, I think of this song because it's Judas Priest and it's a thing that they do. So when, say, you go write a song, you have that same part of your mind as in when you read a lyric or you write a lyric or you have a phrase or you have a riff or you have a tempo you're trying to write to or whatever. It makes you realize why you would write something there, and you can give a nod to something that you love about one of your favorite bands as an influence. They would you would be able to, now maybe you don't hear it, but I'm doing this or that or the other because of that song on Defenders of the Faith, or that I like that sort of vibe, and I like to compare that, and that's kind of where I got it from. I've always wanted to write a song like that, and it can be a challenge for a songwriter to take something that they really love and sort of borrow to and infuse with their own creativity without stealing, right?
Yeah,
because it's just a tempo or a tone or a color or a pitch or but it's the same part of my brain as to when I talk as a fan about, you say Night Comes Down, I say Touch of Evil, and it's the same place in the dimension that we're visiting. It's the same kind of place. It's just the other side of, it's the upside down of whatever else we're talking, Are you in the upside down or am I?
Right.
See what I mean? It doesn't matter. There is no upside down. It's just where you're standing. So, I want to jump from there into, God, this is hard. I mean, what do we have left? Sentinel, Jawbreaker, Free Will Burning?
Yeah, because, for you, that's what you have left. Like, we're down to the meat of it here. This is,
I've been jumping around a lot, and I feel like, it's probably going to be Jawbreaker, and I love Jawbreaker, and Priest has always had sexual innuendos and connotations and things in their lyrics, and I feel heavy metal always has that, even when you can listen to Dio and not hear him talk anything about sexual, animalistic sexual behaviors or any sort of desires, other than Dio rhymes with fire and fire and desire seem to be one of his favorite go-to rhyme schemes. But then Metallica borrowed that from Dio. I think Dio wrote Fire and Desire. I don't know. Gene Simmons could have started that. I think that Ronnie and Gene were at war over, this, is it this? Is it this? What does it mean to you? Da, 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 da. Who stole? Who did it first? That was a ridiculous conversation because it doesn't, who cares?
Yeah, it's dumb.
Different things. Yeah, it's funny. It's funny. But the whole fire desire thing and anyway, and to be, I mean, it's funny to me, and I'm not making fun because I don't really care what your preferences are as far as sexual, things go. But when you're in a heavy metal band and you write a song called Jawbreaker, you either know exactly where that's going to go, the possibilities of that, as far as like literal sense, because he's not writing about candy, hard candy. He's not writing about hard candy. So he's writing about something else. So, if you use your adult knowledge and without having to say anything, it's about
connect the pieces. Yes.
It's about something sexual, and a lot of people are just gonna, man, I thought that was about candy or something. It's like, really? I thought it was about boxing. I thought it was about, Ultimate Fighting Championship. No, it's not about any of those things. So, but I love the song. Notice how we've been talking about songs that don't really do anything, or if you had to pick from worst to, your least favorite to your favorite, Jawbreaker is ranking pretty high with me that now that I'm down to the last 3 or 4 tunes. And I think that it has this great melody, and I think him and Glenn wrote really well together. I mean, I'm pretty sure Glenn is the master riffer on this one. It's interesting how they broke.
Yeah, he did
down.
all the leads, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
On here. But it's incredible. Like, they're just like, that duo on this album is just unstoppable.
Jawbreaker, KK Downing wrote Jawbreaker.
Oh, really? I don't have that on mine. Some of the credits.
Breaks. The Halford wrote the lyrics, of course, but it says lead breaks.
Oh yeah, I see.
Do you see that?
Yeah.
Lead breaks. It starts with Free Will Burning. That's all Glenn. Jawbreaker is KK. So we're talking about KK right now. I'm sorry, I misspoke.
Got it.
KK is Jawbreaker, and that's a very melodic chord switch, and it's everything. Most of it's minor chord changes, but Halford just kind of creates this incredible moment with the lyrics there, and it's colorful in every way. Jawbreaker is colorful.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's where I'm at with that. If we're ranking least favorite to favorite, I'll just say that's my my third. That would be my number 3 on the record if we're going from whatever 7 or 9 up to number 1.
Right.
So that's where. How do you feel about Jawbreaker? Where's that?
I love it. The innuendo is awesome on this record. It's very there's a lot of expression like that on this album. And my next pick is Eat Me Alive. I'm pretty sure this was the PMRC in the Filthy 15.
Oh, wow.
This song. Yeah.
I think you're right.
That, and I'm a little speculation here. If you squint your ears, I hear a little Brian May in that intro on this song, which takes no time into getting into that palm muted chugginess on this. Love the rhythm section here. A pretty simplistic verse chorus structure on this, but just so effective. It's so effective. And like you get great melodic soloing on here. I love how much personality is in Halford's delivery, especially with that like "Eat Me Alive." Like it's so good. It's such a great, and they're really the innuendo like wrapped tight around me like a second flesh, a hot skin. Like what is he singing about? Who knows? Like it really spells it out in the lyrics, but God, like sounds like an animal panting to the beat. Like, oh my God, like groan in the pleasure zone, gasping from the heat. It's such a sexual song. Maybe their most. I'd have to think about that, but like, what beats this? Eat Me Alive. Like that is just so in your face.
That's Animal.
Yeah, sure. Right.
They he kind of, I'll just say he talks like this, like his lyrical phrases. He talks like this a little bit in the song from Hellbent for Leather, Delivering the Goods. And he talks like this a little bit in Burning Up.
Yeah.
Both very sexual.
Very much.
Very, very sexual. And Delivering the Goods. And because he's talking about getting tired and passed out and, like animal, like, but sexual.
The panting, it's just so wrapped tight around me like a second flesh. Like that's like right off out of the gate. It's so, and I have to admire it. It's pretty great. It like for what it's set out to accomplish, it does it tenfold. It really does. And it's good stuff.
Well, he's always been really good about writing about that kind of thing. So, there you go. And all while he is in the closet.
Yeah.
So it was probably I don't want to say difficult. This was his place to be able to express. And that's why it's so fucking good. Is because he's really trying to put it out there without coming out. This was his way to express.
Easing into it almost.
Yeah, and these lyrics, I mean, starting way back, I mean, we're talking, in the 70s, he started writing like this. He's writing about girls on Rock-a-Rolla, and he's writing, Victim of Changes, he's talking about women,
Yeah.
He's talking about boy meets girl all over the place. And then he's not. He kind of takes the girl meets boy completely out of the context of what he's writing, probably around Sin After Sin, or definitely Hellbent for Leather.
Definitely. Oh, yeah.
As soon as they started wearing leather on stage, there was something very different happening with the lyrics, too. It's a very strange sort of a baton being passed from the long chiffon and the big white Stetson hats and the boas and the scarves and shit and the go-go boots into black leather and studs. I feel like lyrically they changed, and they're still able to play that old material because it was still very, very dark, but they sort of metallized it as the band grew to be a premier, very important for the movement of heavy metal.
Yeah.
They had to learn that about themselves as well. I mean, the amps they used to use when they were started were not the amps they were using soon after.
And keep in mind, it wasn't just rock and roll of the first like 4 records. Like there's a ton of proto speed metal as well. Like it translates. It's such a natural transition for the band. It never felt like, oh, they're trying to keep up with Metallica now. Oh, they're trying to, of course, in the 90s and the 2000s is another story,
there was no Metallica to keep up to.
Right.
Keep up with.
Yeah, exactly. Even 84.
They were the Metallica.
Right. And this is 84 we're talking about, which is like the dawn of thrash metal. It was all kind of starting to cook up around this time. Right. And they're coming out of the gate with some really, really fast like riffage and songwriting and some like pretty much thrashy
Yeah,
material.
they were doing kind of a thrashy thing before there was a name for it. And I mentioned the amplification they were using, and the technology hadn't caught up yet. They were using amplification that didn't have any gain stage. There was no master volume. There was no gain. There was no, well, how'd you get your amp to sound like that? I just dialed all the knobs on the amp and we mic'd it up and just hit my guitar real hard. AC/DC, same. Another forefather of heavy metal. It's like there's no pre-gain or gain, there's no master volume on the amps yet. In the 70s, it took a while to figure that out. The Beatles and the Kinks were razor blading their speakers so they would fart and sound distorted because there's no master volume on the amp. There's no pedal you buy at Guitar Center. When heavy metal is being born,
Right.
I mean, this is a whole other podcast. This is a whole other show, but Deep Purple, Smoke on the Water, that's heavy. Well, that's not even guitar. That's keyboard.
Yeah.
When you think about it. So Deep Purple had one guitar player. Well, why is it so heavy on a live album when Blackmore's playing the solo? How are they still going? Ga, ga, ga. How is it still crushing? He's playing a B3 through a Marshall stack.
Yeah,
all the way up.
So many of those proto metal bands used organs. So many of them. Yeah, and it really just gave that extra power to the guitar. And Judas Priest, 100%, one of the stepping stones for sure in heavy metal. And even this record we're talking about right now is like so innovative. It really is.
Yeah.
But, hey, if you want to jump into your next pick here.
Well, I'm already, as far as I know, I'm already up to Free Will Burning. And I saw this on MTV after I'd already seen them play live. And which is interesting because I feel like they were promoting the record on MTV, but I don't remember seeing the video until after I saw the show. And the video's fun. I think it's a video game theme, which is proper for 84. Arcade gaming was huge at that moment. Going to the mall and eating hot dogs on pretzels all day and then playing video games till you're broke and then riding your mongoose home. I mean, I was already driving, but I had friends that were, riding their BMX bikes and, spending all Saturday, all day at the mall till they ran out of money. And that was a thing, Stranger Things vibes, right? And Free Will Burning takes me there easy. The video for sure. But I love the song. Obviously, it's still keeping the thrash metal thing going on, but still very catchy. I think anyone who likes rock music, and especially if it's starting to turn into speed metal, can say, oh yeah, Free Will Burning's in there, and it's right up there with Whiplash.
For sure.
Yeah. And people are like, wait, what? How can you say that? No, you're not listening if you don't, hear digga 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 digga. I mean, come on, Whiplash, digga digga digga. Come on. You don't hear that?
Thrash metal before thrash metal. It's just insane.
Well, Kill 'Em All was out. Kill 'Em All was summer of '83. So by the time this comes out, people who know Metallica are very aware of already what Priest had been doing. If they have British Steel, I mean, Rapid Fire was the predecessor to Free Will Burning.
Right.
Rapid Fire and Free Will Burning are really close together. There's only one record, I think. No, two records in between them.
Well, I feel like Judas Priest was always leading to a song like this. It was like just bound to happen. It was just so bound to happen at this point.
They wrote it in the 70s, though. They were already going,
yeah.
The Exciter was the, if not something off Sad Wings of Destiny, Tyrant just going, I mean, that's kind of thrashy.
Sure. Oh, totally.
But Exciter is, I mean, I mean, that's thrashy as shit. Well, Metallica and Slayer just took what Judas Priest had already laid down for you and turned it into something else. And they even added like Motorhead and hardcore and early punk bands, and they were all up in it. New York and LA, the American hardcore thing, the earliest versions of that, you could say were just punks who were playing fast, because crossover wasn't really happening until, as far as like the punk and the metal and creating just fast punk songs, and then subgenre being hardcore punk and da 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 da. Well, I mean, Motorhead was a blues band on 10 that liked to play fast.
Yeah.
But that's what they were. Let's get that straight. They're a blues band playing very loud and sometimes very fast, but they swing. There's a lot of swing going on, blues vibe. 12-bar blues played on 10 at light speed.
Yeah,
Okay.
well, I feel like, Metallica, and this is a whole nother thing, but it's like they took bands like the Dead Kennedys, pretty much, like the very fast, and then just combined it with new album, and
no doubt.
like it was right there, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
and just awesome, and just birthed this whole new genre that's fantastic. But
yeah. Free Will Burnin's one of those songs that's relative to what they had done just a few years prior, and it's carrying on a tradition, just like Metallica and Slayer did after they heard Rapid Fire or Exciter.
So and it was very influential as well. What a way to kick off a record.
Yeah.
Too. That is how you do it. Just I love the bookends of this album. I really do.
Yeah.
Now for my next pick, I'm gonna go into Jawbreaker. Love this one. The band is so good at building momentum. And I find this song is just such a good example of that. The trade-offs of the solos here are incredible. Love them. I love how Halford adds more and more power to his voice as the song evolves, just for the song to climax, into this final chorus of like, like it's insane. It's just, I love how it evolves into that again, like with the lyrics and what this song is trying to convey. It works. It like, the sound of this song represents what you're being sung, and like just so good. The lyrics are fantastic. I love Jawbreaker. Great stuff. Great stuff.
KK.
Yeah.
That's all KK, I believe.
Let's look at our notes.
It's good.
It is KK. You're right. Yeah,
it's all KK, but the solos do seem woven like a Judas Priest song.
They go back and forth. It's like
they're weaving around. Yeah.
Which I guess they, it's kind of like if you listen to it in with the two speakers, it's feel like each speaker can have its own back and forth.
Yeah.
With the soloing. I love that. I love that in music. I really do.
I think, maybe giving credit to Tom, the producer on this, and making it feel more like a Judas Priest feel, because usually when they do trade off, you can tell. I feel like as a Priest fan that I can tell the difference in playing between Glenn and KK. But when it's all KK and just he's the key change or whatever, and it goes from one speaker to the other, that feels like Priest, and you might for a second think that it's Glenn. But if you question it because it still sounds like one guy's style, But like I said a little while ago, Jawbreaker is one of my, that's when I start to get to my favorite four probably from the record.
Yeah, for sure. Well, hey, if you want to go into your next pick now.
Yeah, my
top three here.
I think that I'm done. I think that this is it, and that would be my favorite song is The Sentinel.
Okay.
Yeah.
Get into it.
Yeah, I think it's the same thing I was saying earlier about it. It seems very gothic, and there's a story here and I feel like he's without looking up in the dictionary what a sentinel is. When I think about the lyrics, because I've covered this song, as many have, there's many cover versions of this song, because that's how you know it's epic. And you just look at a list of people who've covered the fucking Sentinel. The lyrics seem to be about this warrior of some kind. And I'm not sure what the freedom they fight for, but they're not safe to be around. This is a very there's a lot of weaponry, and yeah, I feel like hell, maybe I don't even know what the Sentinel is about, and just going by the lyrics and singing through the lyrics, it's crazy. But the song, it's fast, it's thrash, it's very related again to Rapid Fire. It's very related to something else that you just heard on the record when you press play or put the needle in the groove, because Free Will Burning feels very similar. But when you think about the attack of the riff and the lyrical content, it's not the same at all. But as far as like tempo and digga dagga digga dagga digga, that whole like, oh my god, they're thrashing my brain again, Free Will Burning, and then it harkens back to moments that you fell in love with on other Judas Priest records. Like I keep saying, Rapid Fire was like this song that took them to that got them to where they were with Scream for Vengeance, and then where they were right after Screaming on these two songs on Defenders of the Faith. So I wanted to go just for a second for my own brain and look at the Sentinel. Along deserted avenues, steam begins to rise. The figures primed and ready, prepare for quick surprise. He's watching for a sign that life is on the line. Dogs whine in the alley. Smoke is on the wind. Is on the wind, I guess. From deep inside its empty shell, the cathedral bell begins ringing out its toll. The storm begins to grow. Amidst the upturned, burned-out cars, the challengers await, and in their fists clutch iron bars with which to seal his fate. Across the chest in scabbards rest the rows of throwing knives. That's the line I was referring
Love that
to.
line. Yeah.
Whose razor points in challenged test have finished many lives.
That's a movie. That's a movie.
Dude, I just got chills.
Right.
I just got chills reading that, and I'm scaring myself. But that right there is why I think that might be my favorite song on there, because just even like submersing yourself into the movie, like jumping into the book and closing the book on yourself is like going into a dark place that you might know that you're going to be uncomfortable being in on purpose.
Yeah.
Right? It's like watching horror films. Why do you watch horror films if you know they're going to make you feel creeped out? It's because it's enjoyable to test yourself in there and be alert to and also fall in love at the same time with the danger of sitting in your music room.
Yeah. You know what? I agree. I do agree. I think for me, a lot of this is just, I love how, and I'll get into it when I which not to spoil where my pick is there, but I just love how cinematic this song is. It's like, how hard it is for a band to write a song like this that moves you as much as this does. Like everything about it. No one is holding back here. I just feel like there's no point in this song where I feel, well, that's not as strong as that. Like it's the full thing. It's the whole package right there. It's so great. I'm gonna jump into my last three. I have three more here. All right, so I'm gonna go in the my Tipton pick here. Free Will Burning. This is my number three. I love the energy and aggression here. It's so good. Very fast song for 84. Rob Halford sounds awesome here. He has some really powerful deliveries in this song, as well as like that speed singing. Like
Yeah.
I couldn't even in my car. No matter how beers, however, I want to sing along to the song.
Yeah.
I can't do it. It's like an auctioneer.
Yeah.
It's so impressive. And it really just adds such an intensity to the track. The solo's fantastic
Yeah.
as well. I have to shout out the solo, but all right.
Yes.
So number two, I think this might be our biggest difference. Rock Hard, Ride Free.
Wow.
That's my number two pick.
I agree with you. That one was very, very. It's way down in there. Didn't get much love from me at all. Right.
But for me, it's my second favorite on the whole record. It's just such an anthem, And for me, as a thrash guy, I do prefer the faster stuff. But I don't know. I just love this song. There's something about it that just really pulls me into it. That guitar intro that goes into the opening solo, a pretty simple main riff, but it's just so effective for me and just heavy. The chorus is now here's the thing. We were talking about, Love Bites, where the chorus just kind of keeps the momentum to a level where Rock Hard, Ride Free. It's like you feel it in your soul, that chorus, and it makes me, it's like what I was saying with Heavy Duty, where it's like, hell yeah, I'm into heavy metal, and it's like be an individual. Like the message of the song is so powerful too. It's not about vampires or fighting dragons. It's like, be your fucking self, listen to heavy metal, like, especially with everything going around at this time surrounding heavy metal. It's like, oh my God, it's the lyrics are just so powerful. I love the momentum of this track as well into that final chorus. The guitar solos and the harmonized leads are incredible. I love the melodic elements of the track as well. For me, this is just a banger. Like every time this comes on, it's like just the ultimate like highway song for me. Going down the highway in a convertible, having this blast. This is kind of like a ride off into the sunset kind of song for me. I love it. Yeah. And I'm, again, more into the faster stuff here, but there's something about this song where even just that opening few notes and then boo, like it does it for me. It just hits all the buttons. It really does. And this is the kind of song that just works so well for 84, where it's like, the Tipper Gore bullshit and all that stuff and everything surrounding metalheads. And like, this is just, it's so powerful. I really love this track.
I think that you're not. I'm not backpedaling on my choices here today, but I really like that you're underlining the message of the song as. I mean, you love the song and all its parts.
Instrumentally, it's right there.
You're digging it, but it's kind of similar to even what like a Twisted Sister. We're Not Gonna Take It. It's kind of like about quite a few probably Sammy Hagar songs, where I Can't Drive 55, or whatever, where there's a message here about feeling free and letting it go and, fuck your boss and fuck the teachers and let's just go be free and listen to music and feel good about just feeling alive, And I really love that. And I've been trying to write that kind of a song my whole rock and roll life, because and my band Broken Teeth and Dangerous Toys, of course, have written quite a few songs that are about what it is that this song is talking about. And I just think that as far as like it being Judas Priest and talking about the same thing as like a Take on the World or We Will Rock You or something like that, this is more like the Camaro rock song for me on a Judas Priest record, which is why I'm preferring things that are of the darker sort on this record. Not to make any excuses.
Of course, I understand your point. Yeah.
I like what you're underlining about the song very much.
But again, like, don't get me wrong as well. Like, the message is incredible here. And it's like, the thing is, it's like anyone can sing about stuff like this, you know what I mean? But it's one thing really conveying it, you know what I mean? And especially that delivery of all day, all night, like just the attack and power in his voice there, it just hits me, you know?
Yeah, you're saying something really large here. Anyone else singing Rock Hard, Ride Free all day, all night, it's because it's fucking Rob Halford. If I sang that, it's probably not. It may or may not be as believable as fucking Rob Halford. Is the point that I also want to also underline is that it's Judas Priest. I'm not going to pass over this song when I listen to the record. It's just not in my top, 2, 3, 4 tunes, right? But
Yeah.
Oh my God, you're saying all of these wonderful things about it that make me want to hear the song, even though it's not my favorite track.
But that's what is so great about this album, because look at our list, and we both love this record. It's not like, well, these are obviously the best, and then these are kind of filler, it just goes to show how good this record is, and then my number one, I'm right there with you. I am right there with you. This is my favorite Judas Priest song of all time, actually.
Wow.
I love it. The Sentinel.
Yeah.
That opening note makes my hair stand up. It really does. Yeah. The Sentinel is epic, cinematic, monolithic. There's so many vocab terms. I should have a thesaurus talking about this song. My favorite Rob Halford vocal performance, probably right there with Victim of Changes. I'm always back and forth because I love that scream in that song, but just the song is paced really well. The Sentinel. That's something I feel like that's kind of underrated about the song, is just the pacing of everything. I love the use of tension here, of course, especially in that bridge between the solo and the chorus, which kind of does remind me of Victim of Changes. You know how there's that bridge, it goes quiet and then it goes into the but in such a powerful way. This is like almost like the modernized version of that.
Yeah, Victim is kind of this bluesy swing, kind of almost like what's a Sabbath vibe.
Very much, yeah.
And this is more of, still has the sort of like early terminology of speed metal to it, which is, you could argue if you want. I've always thought Judas Priest created that term.
I agree.
Yeah, and this song is related to, once again, to as I keep saying, it harkens back to quite a few earlier moments for Priest. Definitely making this record, not to wrap it and put a bow on it, but a very well-rounded record. Once again, when they visit other Priest worlds and bring them to the forefront of a new record in 84, here's our new record. I don't feel like this record sounds rushed at all, even though, from 82 to 84 with, and they were busy. They were so busy at this moment because they were coming from, dude, it's a triple punch with British Steel. Well, no, because they put out Point of Entry between British Steel and, didn't they, or was it prior to?
Yeah, let me I can pull up the whole discography right here.
I'm just lost
so let's start with 80. British Steel in 80, Point of Entry 81, Vengeance 82, Defenders 84, Turbo 6. Like an insane run.
Zero slowing down is my point. And it's interesting how some people might feel very differently about the album Point of Entry. I don't feel like it was a leftovers record. I feel like British Steel was very well rounded and harkened back to just what came just a couple years prior with Hellbent for Leather, which was very metal, and British Steel very metal, and all of the moments, Metal Gods. You could. That's a whole other show, but fucking Point of Entry is like a rock album. Comparatively, I don't feel like it's leftovers. I feel like it's stand on its own, but it's only months later that they're recording that record. 80 is British Steel. 81 right after it, they put out Point of Entry. It's like, did they go to bed?
They put out a record. they put out a record every year starting in 76.
Mind blown.
Does it sound like that? No.
They're not going no, but they're
Not at all.
Dude, they're not going home. Tour, make a record. Tour, make a record. Tour, make a record. Tour, make a record. They're probably writing riffs in the hotel rooms. They're probably staying up all night when they finally get to rest and rent a studio and just chill for a little bit and kind of like sort all their riffs, you know? And they're probably using archaic little tape decks and shit, reel-to-reel tape decks, because it was still early. I mean, they probably had dictation machines they were using, like Office Depot shit has still the old school cassette. They're probably using shit like that to take on the road and keep it in a suitcase so they can go to the hotel room and write songs that way, you know? It wasn't until like early 80s, I think, they had literal 4-track recorder, home studio 4-track recorder. Anyway.
Right. Yeah.
Show,
and that's a whole thing, you know,
yeah.
and it just kind of, I feel like it does work here talking about this stuff, because it just kind of goes to show how impressive this record is. You know what I mean? Where it's like something like this, a band would want to, you know, it sounds like they took their whole life making an album like this, where it's just so insane.
Have time to spare.
They didn't. They really didn't. And, you know, to them, right, like a song like The Sentinel is just, I think that's like the peak. I love Halford's delivery on that. God, the line, the seeds of death he sowed into the, you know, the main riff, and then going into that chorus, which just repeats out of like, you know, ending the song, and he just sings it with so much power. And it's, God, it's like it makes, like you're saying, it just makes your hair stand up. It's like this is such a good genre, man. I love this band.
I love how we both agreed that that's our go-to song.
Yeah.
But I don't want to leave anyone. I don't want to alienate anybody who doesn't like the faster Judas Priest songs, because when you think about the anthemic things that they've done for heavy metal and showed everybody how it's okay to have a rock hard, ride free, you know, take on the world, or, you know, unite, you know, all of those plotting sort of marching. Metal Gods is, they just married everything and put it in. Metal Gods was like, that's like, they figured out the take on the world and the united, which were just a couple years earlier when they wrote Metal Gods. They figured out how to make a song out of a marching anthem type of a vibe. So anything that's like that, and Metal Gods may or may not be people who don't like the speed metal shit. That may not even be their favorite moment. It might be more of like a, you know, let's hope that, well, they might love Turbo.
Yeah. I've met those people.
Yes.
You know, and I do kind of wish it was twin turbo. Of course, I bet you're familiar with the story where Turbo and Ram It Down were supposed to be one record.
Oh,
you know, it was supposed to be it was supposed to be a double disc, where the whole point of it was that it's like, yeah, we have these like kind of, you know, synthesizer, you know, songs that aren't really us, but it also, you know, the second half is like just totally, so we're still Judas Priest, don't worry. But I believe the label was like, oh no, you don't. we're getting 2 album sales out of this thing, you know. So
okay.
Yeah, I wish, you know, it'd be great for like Record Store Day or something. They kind of released that as like, this is what it was supposed to be. It's kind of an unknown story in the Judas Priest camp, but it's cool.
2 different drummers. Who's drumming on Turbo? It's Dave Holland, right? That was his last record.
You know, I'm not sure about the logistics of like how it would play out realistically, but I know that was the plan, where after Defenders, they were going to do this like big double LP of like, you know, let's like kind of just mix, if we're going to experiment with a new sound, let's like have it, the whole idea of twin turbos is it's like 2 different sounds, you know.
Okay.
Where the label's like, that's a great opportunity for 2 albums. Actually,
I don't think I knew that information. I don't think I've ever heard of that before. Wow. Yeah,
it's a little unknown, but it's kind of like a what if scenario. You know,
okay.
It makes you think. But hey, so Fenders of the Faith, Great album. Now, I'm not sure if you can rank this out of 10, but I'm just going to go out there and say for me, this is a 9 out of 10 record. I feel comfortable with that number. It's just about a 10 out of 10. If maybe the songs had that consistent quality to them, I would go there. But for me, it's like, yeah, like there's a few records where I feel like every song is just as good and you can switch them around any order and the flow is fantastic. But for me, yeah, there's like a couple moments here which, it's I hate to not give this a 10 out of 10, but for me, it's a solid, very, very high, solid 9 out of 10 for me. I'm not sure if you put any thought into a rating here.
No, I hate rating records like that, but
that's fair.
I have to agree that if I had to, it would be something like what you're saying, because just even scanning my brain over the titles again, it's a great record. It's a well-rounded record. I don't think that there's anything really wrong with the record. I think that it starts giant and it takes you on a journey and it lets you down and lets you know that, I even think I said it earlier, it lets you know that they're coming back.
Yeah.
We are defenders of the faith. Keep the faith. We're coming back. When the night comes down, right? We are still heavy duty. Don't forget us. We are defenders of the faith. I feel like it's ending, they're riding off into the sunset and then they're going to come back and hit you again pretty fucking hard.
Yeah. Well, I find also, I do want to say this, that I love the order of the track list and the flow. I really think it works. I know like having in the middle Love Bites and Eat Me Alive back to back is like, wow, 2 songs that are pretty, like a little like even the title seems a little similar. But I just like with everything in terms of the sounds of this record, I think it's paced beautifully. I really do. I feel like there's such an amazing flow to this album.
Yeah. Well, and it goes back to people listening to long players, to records, you know what I mean? It's got to, when you put on side one, there has to be something that grabs you. And, if you, sometimes you'll flip a record and side two will hit you just as, like when you think about Back in Black, I think Hell's Bells is the first song on the record.
It is, yeah.
When you would think that Back in Black was the first record. So I think side 2 starts with Back in Black.
Yeah, right. I'm pretty sure.
Dude, it's really crazy how good Back in Black is. There's not a bad song on that record.
One of the best comeback albums ever, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But, well, hey, whole other show. Jason, thank you so much for joining. Do you have any final thoughts on this album? We covered every single note, I find.
I'm extremely lucky to be able to say that I saw them on this tour and they were firing on all cylinders and they were out for blood. It's, I feel like I can say, it's probably not my favorite record, but it's in my collection for the reason that it fucking has to be. And don't take this the wrong way, but I don't think that I have Turbo, and I don't think that I have Ram It Down. So that right after this, just a couple of years later, I was really in a different place as a metal fan. Thrash metal had really taken over my soul. The shit that came out in '86, the same year as Turbo really wasn't on my radar whatsoever because of Rain and Blood, Master of Puppets, Peace Sells, and Among the Living.
Terrible timing for that album. Yeah,
it was not. Priest was not Priest anymore. To me, it was, I looked elsewhere because it was just so, the energy and tone and even the technology and where things are, they had gone into to a synthesizer affect, I could say. And then there were bands that I was really had my eyes on because, I heard Kill 'Em All and it kind of changed my life.
Now think of this. All right. Imagine if Painkiller followed up this record.
Sure.
Like, that would change everything.
Yeah,
that was kind of what I feel like what was supposed to follow Defenders. Like in terms of sound, like it makes sense for them to have gone into that, especially with all the connections. It seems like maybe after Ram It Down, they're like, let's go back to Defenders and see where we went wrong, and just took some of these elements and then turned them up to 11 and then took notes of the other bands at the time.
I think it was a natural thing for them to find themselves. Obviously, there were some growing pains. They got a brand new drummer, and they knew what Scott Travis's was energy was like, and how he played drums at that point, and so they knew that they could finally do what they wanted to do that they weren't able to do on those records just prior to Painkiller. So what's after Ram It Down? Painkiller. So obviously I feel like they did some homework, they researched, they thought about it. I mean, by that time they had heard Cowboys from Hell, not just what came out in 86, probably the same week as Turbo, you know what I mean, and compared themselves to all of the other metal bands that they had influenced and that wanted to be them growing up. I feel like Painkiller had to happen. Like, I don't think that it was like, look, we're back and we can play fast too. I don't think they had to say anything. I think that they just picked up where they left off, like you said. I don't think Ram It Down had anything really on it, if I recall, that other than the song Ram It Down. That's pretty fucking metal.
Yeah, it is. But Painkiller, as you're saying, Painkiller doesn't feel like Judas Priest being like, hello, fellow kids. You guys like the heavy stuff. It just feels, again, like so natural for them, and that's like, God, what a good album, which could be a whole nother show.
And it was probably hard. It was probably, I feel like it was hard. They toured their asses off on Painkiller. They really milked the shit out of that record. They were on tour for 2 years for that record or more, because that was the tour Halford left the band. And that's a whole other show as well as to possible reasons why he left the band. But, they were, metal was on its way. I feel like this is such bullshit, but according to the Tastemakers, which is another, the influencers, that wasn't even a word back then. By 92, you think about it, if you didn't have a career already, oh shit, Halford's leaving. What is Priest going to do? Well, shit, Iron Maiden got a new singer around the same fucking time. When you
that is true.
Recall. So things were really going haywire for a moment, and there were outside influences. The metal was kind of uncool for a moment in some people's eyes. It's like, I never left it. I didn't change my wardrobe. I still listen to the same fucking shit. And so it was really hard for just a fan to understand, like, if you followed the trends, well, who am I anymore?
Yeah.
If you didn't know who you were by then, like all of us knew who we were by then.
Right.
It affected Metallica. It affected there was weird shit going on.
Then. Metallica was going into groove metal. Megadeth was going into groove metal. It was all changing. But hey, Jason, this was a ton of fun. You were the perfect guest to have on this to talk about this record. I kind of just want to give you the floor now. What's going on with you? Projects? How can people stay in touch with you? What's going on?
Yeah, they can read a lot about what has been going on with me at jasonmcmaster.net. I apologize if it's not updated. Same with brokenteeth.com. Broken Teeth is a band I've had going for about 23 years now. And if you like Motorhead and old, I like to call Broken Teeth, it's like AC/DC it's like Back in Black trying to grow up and turn itself into Screaming for Vengeance, ironically. So it's that kind of hard rock and metal, kind of a little bit sleazy, but there's enough metal tendencies in it to where you kind of get where we are. We have about 9 records out. Let's see. The newest thing is probably the Night Terror record that I did with Jack Frost. The project is called Night Terror. It's a 6-song EP, and it's out right now. You can streaming everywhere. The name of the record is Return of the Witches. I'm currently writing a record with a project that we call Hot Shot. There's 2 songs on all streaming platforms. A song by Hot Shot called Catwalk and a song called Digging for Diamonds. And we are writing a full record for hopefully a release by end of year or early next.
Cool. Awesome.
Yeah. And it's really fun. It's got Dave McClain from Sacred Reich Machine Head on drums.
Oh, hell yeah.
And it's basically what's left over of Dirty Looks. It's got Paul Idell, who's been in the Toys with me since '94, and Jack Pyers from Dirty Looks. And I was fronting, under the banner Dirty Looks for about 5 years. And then we started writing new material, and we didn't feel like it was right unless we had more members of the original Dirty Looks lineup. So we got Dave McClain on the drums, and we called it something different. So it's Dirty Looks turned into Hot Shot, and it's, if you like Dirty Looks, you're gonna dig Hot Shot, because it's just 4 on the floor, seriously crazy fun, heavy swing and rock. We just tracked a song. I'll let this cat out of the bag without. It's gonna leave you like, what? It's gonna leave some people like confused. But we just tracked a song called Champagne Cocaine. Stay with me. And the lyrics were written by Lemmy Kilmister in 1991. I got off the road. I got off the road with the Toys, who were on Operation Rock and Roll. It was Dangerous Toys, Metal Church, Motorhead, Alice Cooper, Judas Priest, ironically, on the Painkiller tour. And me and Lemmy had become, buddies, right? And he gave me his business card, which I still have right there. And on the back, handwritten his phone number and address in Hollywood. He says, call me anytime. You were great to hang with. I was like, whoa, okay,
that's awesome.
Wow. I had to grow the balls big enough to call him months after and go, hey, remember me? And he's like, of course I fucking remember you, you bastard, whatever he said. And he goes, well, what are you doing? I go, man, I'm trying to write lyrics for just, Toys, anybody, any project. He goes, if you ever need any help, let me know. I'm like, did Lemmy just offer to write some lyrics for me? You mean I give you an idea? And he goes, yeah, just check your mailbox in a couple of weeks. So I have it framed right there. I'm pointing at
that. Is awesome. That is awesome.
That song, I guess I could say, collabed with Lemmy, and I've had that yellow pad signed I Kilmister 91, copyright 91, framed and on the wall. And so Hot Shot, we just tracked a new tune, and I'm searching through my stacks of little lyric books and things over here, and that's framed on the wall right in front of me all the time. And I'm singing in this mic, and I'm like, trying to groove, trying to get something, taking some notes, and I keep looking up there, and it's like, dude, I took that frame off the wall and hit record, and I'm holding the frame, singing the lyric while they're framed. So when
that's
I'm done
awesome.
tracking the song, I just hung it back on the wall.
That's great. When's that coming out?
Don't know.
Well,
don't know. But
I'm looking forward to that.
We're 7 songs in.
Okay.
And Lemmy from the grave wrote a song on it, ironically.
That is so exciting. Also, Demolition, go check out as well. Yeah, of course, have to shout that out.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a fun record, and fans are tripping on that, and it's I call Demolition the missing link, because it literally is.
It is, yeah.
Between Hellacious Acres and Pissed.
It's great. It's great stuff. Please go check it out. For a demos album, it's fantastic. It's fantastic. Thanks. Really great stuff. Again, Jason, thank you for doing this. This is one. We might get the world record for longest review of a record. But this is what I wanted to happen. Just completely dive into the album. And this was a ton of fun. Love talking about the albums. Again, thank you so much for being on. Always a pleasure having you on the podcast.
Thank you, brother.
And of course, I'm Brandon Battick, and this has been Disturbing the Priest.
It's death. I've just seen death.